Hello, my name is Jordan Zabaleta, and I read an article in the Community College Week newspaper, and it was about Xavier Vigil. Now, Xavier Vigil was a Santa Fe high school student who didn't really have big dreams of going to college, but he contemplated it from time to time. He thought about it, But when his mother passed away in February, he stopped thinking about college altogether, and he followed her advice. And now what she said was to follow his dreams and to be happy in life. So he said, right now, I feel like college isn't for me. But that didn't mean that his plans were to wander aimlessly around after high school. See, Xavier was enrolled in his school's welding program, and he had discovered that he had a knack for the art, and he made metal sculptures, and he credited the welding class that with keeping him engaged in high school. He said, I feel like it's more beneficial to me to learn welding and go to college later. And he said, I would be really bored in school without that class, and it made him look forward to going to class every single day. So this comes to my main claim, which is vocational classes, such as that welding class or agriculture classes, culinary classes, auto shop. Those classes are more viable and need to be available to students who want to take them, instead of being pushed to take the college prep classes that a lot of counselors are trying to push students to get. To support this, I have two secondary claims. One of them is taking these classes gives you training in specific skills that will prepare you for a technical career, that when you graduate high school you can go straight into the workforce doing that, or you can go to like a trade school like DeVry for 2 more years and then get a degree and continue on to that, instead of taking that traditional route of going to university or four-year college like a CSU or UC. My second one is to allow students, it allows students to be more engaged and willing to learn through hands-on activities in those classes, which I will get to. But first, go back to the training and specific skills. I'm going to talk about the demand for jobs of these technical skills and then the lack of teaching inside the schools. So, in the St. Cloud's Times, it said some Minnesota companies were struggling to fill manufacturing jobs, and one of the big reasons were the decline in technical trade classes offered in their high schools in that state. Because of the No Child Left Behind initiative, a lot of schools in that state and other states shifted their resources toward the core classes like reading and math, and instead cut the shop classes like welding, machines, and robotics. So one private estimate suggested the number of tech teachers in the state of Minnesota went from about more than 1,200 to 750 and declining in recent years. Another example comes from the Los Angeles Times. Mike Rustigan wrote that according to a growing number of demographers and labor experts, the U.S. soon will be experiencing a severe shortage of skilled workers. See, the blue-collared baby boomers are now retiring, but the schools aren't really teaching or preparing the next generation to take their place. So what he said is our nation needs more blue-collar workers, the skilled mechanics, machinists, welders, carpenters, electricians, as well as some computer, solar, and cable technicians, just as much as it needs those college graduates. And then he also included a quote from a retired plumber that he had interviewed, and I thought it was pretty interesting. He said, "No one is going to outsource your local repair guy. If you've got a trade, you've got it made." So, on to my next point. I say that these classes allow students to become more engaged and willing to learn by their hands-on motivation. So, as I talked about Xavier, he really enjoyed his welding class because he got to do what he thinks is what he wanted to do. He got to explore that career path, and maybe that's something he wants to pursue. And then another thing that these classes get to offer are some clubs and organizations that you might not get by taking a college prep English class. And that personal experience is from me. In my high school days, which weren't very long ago, I was a part of agriculture in my school, and we actually had a little farm on our school campus where I was a part of all 4 years, and I got to take those classes and raise animals, and we grew crops. And that whole experience allowed me to explore the career of agriculture, because back then I wanted to be a vet, and I thought that was a good place to go to learn more about that. But while I was there, I got to learn some other cool things, such as leadership skills, public speaking skills, and as well I got to tour some college campuses and explore other career opportunities, not just about agriculture. That's what made me decide to change to engineering, and actually got to take a couple of trips right here to Cal Poly and then that's where I decided where I wanted to go. So, to reiterate, I wanted to say that these vocational classes, such as the auto body, agriculture, culinary, and machine classes, are more viable, and we need those, and it needs to be available to these students who want to take them instead of actually going and pushing those college prep classes. Thank you.
All right, Jordan, I like the example that you start with. You've got an interesting story that goes on there. When you get to your proposition, though, it's a little bit complicated because in the middle of the proposition, you have a whole bunch of definitions that you stick in, and then you switch from having a claim of fact to a policy proposition, and you need to stick to the factual issues about whether or not a need exists for these kinds of programs, and just keep it simple like that. There's a little bit of a setup of what the structure is, but it needs to be sharper, and then during the body of the speech, I thought the phrasing on your secondary points was a little complicated and occasionally confusing. Although I can see distinct parts in the speech, it needs to be, I think, a lot clearer. You've got some good hypothetical examples. You've got a nice personal example that you use. I thought that worked well. There was just a little bit of technical, or I should say statistical information about the number of teachers that went down. There's a general quote about the need for skilled workers, although that seems to run counter to the information that we've heard for years and years, that all those skilled kinds of jobs are moving someplace else because we can't afford to pay people the wages that they would be getting here, so we're shipping all those jobs overseas. So there's a little bit of information gap there. I think you need some more information on that. I thought you did a very nice job speaking to the audience, and you come across very credibly as a result, but I think you need to sharpen the contents of the argument a little bit more. All right.